Left jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best, you gotta show me son. Actions over words, baby boy, is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
Shout out to the hottest chat in the MFing game. A-side official. No negotiation needed, period. You already know. Mr. International Toby Bartlett in the building. Salute WCS and the hottest chat in the YTC. We're global, baby. We're global. You already know. It's better to be global than just local. Mike is on deck. Salute to you. I see you in the building. Carlos is on deck in the building. What's good with it? So let's get down to it, man. You already see the titles. I mean, the description. You can ask what you want to ask, but I just want to know. American haters want to see Crawford in adversity. Another fight, non-American fighter, and you can already see what the weather is precipitating. And then Andre Ward, gold standard Olympian, possibly set for a return. That's what the news is saying. That's what the news is saying. That Ward may be set for a return. And we're going to get to that. So first, I want to show you Ward. You know what I'm saying? I want you to see who I'm speaking on. So this is Andre Ward right here. He's, 32 victories in, opposite 0 defeats and 16 knockouts, y'all. He's been 7 years removed from the ring. His last fight was June 2017, man, against Sergey Kovalev. And that was the rematch that they had. 2017. He won a TKO. 8th round. Championship showcase versus Sergey Kovalev, who was 31-1 at the time. And the only loss that Kovalev had at that time was from the one and only Andre Son of God Ward. SOG. Now, what is this talk that potentially, or the rumor mill, that Andre Ward may, just because it's been sightings out there, right, of him sparring with the one and only Terrence Bud Crawford. Let's take a little trot over there and see what's going on. This is Boxing News 24. Says Andre Ward sparring with Crawford eyeing a Saudi combat ? It said Andre Ward, the unbeaten former 2-division champion, is training with Terrence Crawford to help him prepare for a clash on August 3rd against Israel Madrimov in Los Angeles. Still youthful at 40, there are well-paying fights out there for Ward, 32-0, 16 knockouts, if he trims off the weight and returns to the ring for a rematch against Carl Froch, or fights against one of the big names at 175. Froch is now 47, and must I know, Froch is an opponent that Ward had already beat early in his career. It goes on to say, but looks in good shape for his age. A rematch would be interesting for British fans, if not for Americans. Ward retired at the end. Ward retired at the top of his game in 2017 and missed out on big money that is being dished out to light heavyweight champions Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, and soon to David Benavidez in Saudi Arabia. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh invites Ward to take part in one of the events. He can make some good dough, but he'll likely be expected to face someone good. To be on those cards, Ward has to provide value to the fans, and the only way that happens if he rematch against a live body. I mean, if he's matched against a live body. I don't know why I'm tripping on this front. It's been several years. I mean, it's been 7 years since IBF, WBA, and WBO light heavyweight champion Ward defeated Sergey Kovalev by 8-round knockout on June 17, 2017. Ward surprisingly retired after that victory rather than stand around to defend against the talented Beterbiev or Bivol. Hey, good choice for Ward. That would have been a tough fight. You know what I'm saying? But people are going to say he was ducking and everything else that goes along with the narratives. They say Saudi Arabia is now the hot spot for the biggest fight in boxing. So you've seen Oscar De La Hoya said that no one has approached him for a buyout yet, but the rumblings are that Turki Al-Sheikh is trying to, take over boxing over here in the U.S. And throughout all the years that the U.S. promoters have had a presence over here, and to be in a state that it is now, would it be such a bad thing for, Saudi to take over U.S. boxing in a way to bring better fights? I don't think so. I think new structure is good. The format we've been having for decades, it still have, like embryonic problems to it, constant situations or constant hangups that we have experienced in boxing, primarily with big names and fighters, pretty much matching up with one another. We see that sometimes it's just all conversation, but yet it's no funding budget. Fighters can't really speak on fights they have coming up. It's the same thing over and over again, sung and dance, bro. You know what I'm saying? Same outfit, different day. It goes on to say, it will be a bitter pill for Ward if he suffered his first defeat, but the money would make it worthwhile. But even if he hadn't retired in 2017, he likely would have lost twice already to Bivol and Beterbiev or Beterbiev. That's one way of looking at it. And if he's hang up about wanting to protect, and that's one way of looking at it. And if he's a hang up about wanting to protect his precious unbeaten record, I'm reading them. They ain't the best editors. It would be interesting to see Ward fight David Benavidez on one of the cards in Saudi Arabia to get the ball started. If Ward wins that fight, then a shot against the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol undisputed clash would be ideal. Well, I'm going to say like this. Being out the ring for 7 years, 40 years of age, it would be such a tough challenge ahead of Andre Ward to come back and fight a David Benavidez. It would be tough just for him, to go through the weight loss process and then get his timing back. I mean, just think about the timing issues of a fast fighter like David Benavidez for Andre Ward to calibrate. You know what I'm saying? To calibrate in a 12-round fight, I'm assuming. After 12 years to get his foot movement, coordination, fluidity, rhythm, all that back. It'd just be too much in my opinion. It would be too much. And I'm not riding Andre Ward off, but I just don't see him coming in there getting a fight of that magnitude against a Benavidez off the rip. He'll have to definitely take about 1 or 2 fights. It's been 7 years, bro. It's been 7 years. I don't know what he's been doing recreationally to stay in shape, but it's been 7 years, big dog. And you definitely should not be advised to come back and face a David Benavidez, even if your second fight back. Leave it be. Real talk. Leave that alone. Seriously. Let that go. So we'll keep our ears open, the antennas up, and the frequency lines in tune to see what they saying about that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to see what they saying about that. Seriously. It's definitely one of those deals where he should be advised to take his time if he really want to keep that O. You know, he's still the Hall anyway, and all the other stuff that goes along with it. He just did his deal, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to a little short snippet. If you didn't hear, let me bring it up for you right quick. This wasn't on my description. I didn't feel it needed to be. You know, too many people speaking on it, of course, because they just don't care. But let me share this with you right quick. You know what I'm saying? Because they're very selective. But check this out. Robert Helenius. You know what I'm saying? Robert Helenius receives a 2-year ban after positive doping test. That's after his fight with Anthony Joshua. Robert Helenius tested positive for clomiphene. You know what I'm saying? Clomiphene. And we already knew this, but didn't know too many people even care to speak on it in depth because of who he is. You know, he gave Anthony Joshua a pretty good go. You know what I'm saying? After the fact that Deontay Wilder had stopped him in under 1 round. So therefore, his 2-year doping ban for clomiphene, I guess it wasn't based off, him having a freaking diet like Conor Ben. And we all know that clomiphene can be used for a variety of things. But he's going to be out for 2 years, and I don't think anyone's going to miss freaking Robert Helenius because he got some pretty decent checks by fighting Joshua, Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying? So give it up for him. You know, you got some vacation money. I don't know if he's going to be back, but he did test positive. And I don't think too many of the boxing fans even care, to be honest with you. Okay? Just to keep it a buck. All right? Let's go down here to article that I had before. They say Crawford selfish title hold at 147 hurting the division. So let's talk about what I say. Bud Crawford and, his basically presence that he had at 147-pound division. Yes, you can say that he still has possession of certain titles. Okay, we get it. But we can also say that those titles are coming off, in a matter of 15 days. So, yes, the language sounds good that he's holding up division, but there's no fights are going to be made within the next 2 weeks. So I found out the title of the article is pointless, but I understand what they're trying. Crawford is set to face the undefeated Madrimov on the West Coast, you know what I'm saying, at BMO Stadium in 15 days. Now, if you're looking at this article, right, it says, Paulie Malignaggi thinks the 2 sanctioning bodies are hurting interest in the sport by allowing Terrence Crawford to hold on to his welterweight titles when he has no intention of ever returning to 147-pound division to defend them. Paulie now. One of the most educated mouthpiece of boxing, but controversial. My thing is, if the word has already been out that once he step in the ring, majority of those titles are going to go, slide off his waist into the possession of other title holders that's currently campaigning at 147 pounds, then why would this even be relevant to speak on? I mean, that's what boxing does. They just find shit to talk about. You know, nobody's going to be fighting anytime soon to defend these titles. They still trying to figure out in the order of which champion's going to fight the next. Will they start to fire up the engines for a unification bout? Will we see separation for one of those champions to basically gap, spread that gap a little bit to confirm that they're the front runner to take over the division? Nobody's did that. They say if the WBA and WBO had stripped Crawford once he made it clear he was moving up to 154, the welterweight division would have been more interested because two champions would be holding titles in those sanctioned bodies by now. You can argue that Crawford is selfish by choosing not to vacate his last two welterweight belts because he realized he's not returning to the division. He's made it clear that he wants to win titles at 154 and move up to 168 to challenge Canelo for his 4 belts. So, of course, we have to go up here and know that I always have to make a note of this. Chris Williams is the ultimate Crawford hater. Just had to put that up there, Chris. You know it was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, he says the only explanation of Crawford keeping his WBA and WBO welterweight titles is for negotiation purposes to increase his popularity, as his name is shown holding a belt before he captures another one. Well, Chris, as always, you love, trying to sell a paper plate. You know what I'm saying? When selling paper plate like it's porcelain. When it comes to talking about Crawford, nobody gives a damn of what description. For him, he already earned the accolades. One thing about boxing, your achievements is transferable. Every division you move up, they always recognize what you did previously. That's how it works. So that's no leverage. That's no nothing. We already know he's completed that. He's not trying to complete it. He's already completed. So those belts is not going to do anything. We already know he was freaking undisputed at 147. I can't say he would be the best of the bunch if he was in the era of Spence Crawford. And that's, me skipping over the paragraph when they start talking about Boots, because Chris Williams, he wants to build this hype up so bad, but I'm not going to do him like that. I'm just going to highlight the paragraph below. It said, as old and inactive as Crawford is, that's the hate I'm talking about, y'all. True form. As old and inactive as Crawford is, okay? He might not ever win another world title unless he returns to 147 and stays away from Jerron Boots Ennis. His chance of beating Madrimov 154 iffy. And he certainly isn't going to beat Canelo at 168, especially if he takes another year off after his fight on August 3rd. This is Chris, the hater. It goes on to say, I can't say he would beat the best of the bunch if he was in this era of Spence and Crawford, when they technically could have still fought him, said boxing analyst Paulie Malignaggi to Pro Box about where Jerron Ennis would place among the fighters from the past era. It says Boots would be too good for fighters from Crawford era at 147 from 2018 to 2023. The best guys from the past era were these fighters: Porter, Brook, Thurman, Garcia, Crawford, Pacquiao, Mir Khan. The guys from the previous generation like Porter, Pacquiao, Boots would certainly be in that mix. I don't know if he would be on the Wheaties box, but he would certainly be a much more known entity within boxing. He'd be knocking some of these guys off, and maybe some of them would be beating him. Boots Ennis beats all those guys. Kell Brook had never beaten anyone before his win over Porter, which was questionable one, and then he was wrecked by Gennady Golovkin in 2016. Porter was never more than a gatekeeper, whose best win came against a shot at Adrian Broner. Chris Williams is pretty deficient when it comes to being intoxicated off his own bias. Yeah, his description is he has unbelievable refills. You know what I'm saying? Unbelievable refills. You know what I'm saying? He loves drinking from his own cup. know what I'm saying? Especially when he makes those cocktails. He said that Sean Porter was nothing more, was never more than just a gatekeeper. That's wow. A gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about him losing to Kell Brook. You know what I'm saying? Keith Thurman. Terrence Crawford. And Errol Spence. So if you group those names together and ask anybody about those names, they're going to say, okay, those were some of the big names in the division. You know what I'm saying? But he's saying his best win came against Adrian Broner. For real, his best win came over Adrian Broner. Wow. Anyway, I got to keep it moving. They said Pacquiao had been on the downside of his career since 2012 and would have been a problem for Boots Ennis. Danny Garcia never belonged at 147 and was the best at 140. He'll still be among the best welterweights of the generation. Malignaggi continued about Ennis. He's still going to be, but not as shiny of a prize at the moment of anyone, at least right now, because the welterweight division doesn't have much luster now. A lot of guys that have excited, some guys have retired, some have moved, and doesn't help that two of the sanction bodies, WB and WBO, because you don't allow the wheel to turn, said Malignaggi. If guys are picking up world titles, then you create the man for this guy to fight the guy. I want to see that guy fight the guy. So, in closing, right, because this article is pretty long, I'm just going to go off the quote. He said, the TV starts making the fights and you start creating demand, doing stuff like the sanctioning bodies do, where they don't strip guys and keep the wheel turning. You also kill the interest because you got a guy, Crawford, that is holding two of the four belts, two of the four welterweight titles, who is never going to fight at welterweight again. So what are we doing here, said Paulie Malignaggi. So, Paulie had an issue. He has an issue. Just speaking on the fact that Crawford is somewhat holding up the division when it comes to two belts. Now, the culpability needs to be pointed at the sanctioning bodies. Because if boxing had a president or governing body, any type of approving authority where someone can voice their grievances or get together with some higher ups and talk about situations like this, then the format may be a bit different, but it ain't. It's not. The format is not the way it's supposed to be to appease what the fans want to see. So Paulie can talk all he want, but is it going to change anything? I mean, Mauricio Suleiman selected to allow Jamal Charlo to keep his belt until he had the recent incident with the law. There's been fighters that get put in recess for no reason, like Manny Pacquiao when he had the WBA title when he fought Keith Thurman. Why did he go into recess? What was the purpose? He wasn't injured, and it wasn't because of some, incident that was out of the hands of boxing, like the pandemic. So you have fighters getting put in recess that don't meet the policy and standard operating procedures or the rules per the ABA to be placed on the recess, the championship in recess, the champion in recess. So, and he can speak all he want about it, but I'm saying boxing sanctioning bodies do what they want. Some sanctioning bodies don't push for mandatories to be on time with it. And some do push for the mandatories to be on time and will go through great lengths to strip the fighter. That's just the way boxing is. It's never been uniformity across the board. There may be certain areas where, they're somewhat linking up in the same way they do business. But as far as the timing goes, no. The sanctioned body, the presidents, do what the heck they want to do. So looking at the thumbnail, Crawford once again is in a big fight. I was looking at on Amazon Prime. I was checking out the fight again, you know, and it's good to see it's floating out there, in the open plane. It was good to just, look at the opening bout, round one, and see how the people were standing on their feet to usher in the opening bell. I like to see that. That was anticipation right there. That's what you call anxiety, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like to watch all that take place. Now, of course, for this fight with Madrimov, I don't foresee people going to be on their feet. You know what I'm saying? Um, like that. It might be some people standing, but this is one of those fights where they're not expecting Madrimov to just come in and try to attack Crawford right off the bat. So there may be some people saying, okay, we're witnessing history now. Saudi Arabia, this is an organization that may potentially have a footprint over here in the U.S. now with boxing. Right? So this is historic from a foreign perspective. Now that we actually have a hitter, like Turkey Al-Sheikh, that's willing and able to basically make his presence known over here in the U.S. with some big fights. So for Crawford to go over there with Madrimov in his fourth division, there are some people out there that I'm not sure if they're previous Errol Spence fans. I don't know if they just legitimate, certified Crawford haters, or they just American boxing fans that love to see certain fighters that have O's on their record lose. And sometimes in a weird, strange, delusional way, American fight fans tend to root for the foreign fighter. It's crazy. When Lomachenko came on deck, it's so many people's rooting for Lomachenko, man. You ask them, it's new. It's something new to boxing. He's a fresh face. He's Olympian. He's this. I'm like, what about your American fighter though? What about your American fighter? That's what's is curious to me. Why are you so easy to relinquish a bond, a common bond that you have internally to the country that you live in and reside and support? And you say, hey, you on 4th of July, you see these people holding up the flag. I'm proud to be an American. You hear them over there singing, eating ribs, barbecue sauce dripping off. You know what I'm saying? Got freaking spots all in, butters, sucking down corn and shit all day. You know what I'm saying? Getting sloppy drunk. And then when it comes to boxing, they seem like, oh, it's time for us. We're going to show our true colors today. And just because Crawford up there think he represents them goddamn colors, no, we're going to support that other guy. What's his name? Madrimov? No, it's Madrimov. Madrimov. Oh, Madrimov. Yeah, we need a fresh face up in. Crawford, he's on his way out the door. Yeah, it's time to goddamn get a fresh face up in here. We love fresh faces. It keeps the sport growing. That's what we need. Change after change. Time to get Crawford on about his business. Shout out to those of you that's in the chat. Appreciate you. Arnold Brown on deck. Stickum Boys Fishing and Sport in the building. Brock does not want to gamble on his nose job being busted. It ain't gonna be called. No way. 100% Carl also has a very good property portfolio and building company. He's not coming back. That's good because, from what I understood, that Carl Froch was like 47 years old. I just don't want to see that again. And there shouldn't be no connection. I think Chris Williams is just putting the info, just doing some fillers because Carl Froch was one of those common opponents that Andre Ward fought back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But my deal is, when it comes down to this 15 days, is that either way you look at it, right? The suspense that we have in the sport is what is these fights leading up to? You know what I'm saying? Is there a reason for this fight to happen? You know what I'm saying? Yes, it is a legacy fight for a 4th division championship. not just for one title, but the high possibility of two, right? So therefore, you have a big name like Crawford, who's pound for pound. It sets him up for a potential. Let's say he he definitely get past Madrimov, and then we have a sort of a kickstand. We have the WBC that's going to be in the holding pattern, right? And then the IBF is just sitting out there. We don't know if we're going to get a surprise that someone from a lower weight class like Boots Ennis would send a request like they did when Crawford won the championships. Now, I have a lot more positivity to say if he was to activate paperwork like that. I'm not going to lie to you. If Boots really wanted to show that he wanted to fight Crawford and he was pushing to step up in there for his next fight near the the final semester of 2024 and fight the IBF champion, then I'm like, hell yeah, I want to see Boots win. Because what better way than to basically line up a Boots Ennis that finally, like Blunt said, he's never been in a fight where they say and new. So this is his opportunity to get that status, to stamp that to his credibility, to go there to a high division, just like Crawford did. Go up here. Crawford beat Jeff Horn. Boots go up there and beat I forgot his name. Beat the champion IBF up there at 154 pounds, and then have a unification bout. Boots is 27 years of age. That'll be his second division. He's looking good. He's catching up with his record. Right now, he's far behind his record. He's 32-0. He's far behind when it comes to accolades. But if he's able to get to 154 pounds, beat the IBF champion, and therefore set the stage for him and Crawford to potentially fight for unification while Spence and Fundora is trying to figure it out, awesome. Because you can't take away Boots is now 2-division champion. You can't take that away. And he's only 27 years old. You can't take it away. Now, the biggest leap of faith is that if, of course, Turkey Al-Sheikh, if everything lines up, okay, the optics are zoomed in, the windage is set correctly, and he's able to put that fight center mass somewhere in the US of A, in Vegas or something like that. Finally, Crawford, being that he's made it clear that he's on his way out the door, he gets a fight with Boots Ennis. He wins that fight. Then he fights Errol Spence in a rematch. That would have been 3 big fights that he had on his way out the door, Crawford. So when it comes down to the anticipation, the expectation, and then to see it play out, Crawford would have had Madrimov, Boots, and Errol Spence Jr. And though the rematch at that point in time in 2023, there was so much uncertainty from the fan because they said, oh man, we just keep on seeing all the pictures of him getting beat up. You know what I'm saying? The transformation that took place. We don't want to see him step in there and fight Bud Crawford just yet. But if some time it went by, you know what I'm saying? He waited and stalled out, got the eye surgery. He goes in here and beats Sebastian Fundora now. Because a lot of people, to include myself, feels unless Sebastian Fundora has the wrong fight plan, or he gets the orders, it's hard for me to say that Spence goes in there and beat Fundora. People always talk about the damage, right? But I don't hear people talking about the damage that he took from Crawford. Crawford did some damage to Spence. So that's my only thing. Him going in there to face Sebastian Fundora, who also was in a tough fight. And, the Fundora who's been knocked out by Brian Mendoza. He's taking some damage, right? but who is more fragile than the other? That is the biggest question when it comes to that fight. But ultimately, for Crawford, he has a clear path to basically unifying the 154 pounds to set him up for a grand finale. This time he will have 3 belts. And then that he will be able to build his legacy even higher. His legacy is already set. Listen, I'm gonna remind you of something he told Spence that really pissed off Spencerholics and the Aerosexuals. Y'all remember when he said he didn't need Errol Spence for his legacy? And these individuals lost their freaking mind and started crying. You know what I'm saying? You want to run a race to the local Sprouts or Whole Foods or freaking Walmart and grab a big box of adult Huggies because these dang boxing fans was crying and pissing on themselves. What do you mean? He don't need him? What do you mean? They was mad as hell when Crawford said he didn't need Spence for his legacy. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? Regardless of what they say, what is Timothy Bradley or anybody else, he doesn't need Boots for his legacy. Let's get real. Let's get real now, because Boots has done less than Errol Spence has at the welterweight division. And if Crawford basically, put it out there that he didn't need Errol Spence for his legacy at 147 when he was campaigning there, what make you think he's going to feel like he need Boots Ennis for his legacy at 154? But if Jaron Ennis can go up there and prove that he can step in there and be the champion, then it changes up everything. The quality of the air changes. Now we inhaling a little bit more positivity, bro. Now Jaron Ennis catches up to what the talk is supposed to be about. Now is his opportunity to change levels. They are touting him as the phenom, the Crawford 2.0. He does everything better. Well, right now you have the numbers, but yet you don't have the performance. Your numbers might represent represent your box rec, which is simple. But the quality of opposition, the grading, is where you come short on the report card. There's a lot of D's and F's. Okay? So we're trying to get your report card up when it comes to the performance up to the A-B standard. And if you move up to 154 and fight Crawford, then that would be a fight that people will talk about. For Crawford, he's not on cruise control. It's just he has some tough fights. As much as I want to say, well, he looks unbeatable. I've said this before. I said Crawford looked like he's going to walk up out of here undefeated. Really. I don't hope that he goes up there and try to break some 50. No. Get out when you know you've done enough and you've basically cemented everything that needs to be cemented. So when I hear people speaking so highly of Madrimov, I say, how dare you be so stupid? You know what I'm saying? Why are you choosing to use your ignorance instead of your intelligence? They both start with an I. Did somebody say, well, it's better to use your intelligence and allow it to be time released? Because, Madrimov has not even completed nothing close to what Crawford has done. But you have people up here that's willing to just say, hey, Madrimov is good in this area. He's good in that area. He's this, he's that. But you did not give Crawford the same respect of what his accomplishments was when he has done more and had more wins on his resume at the time. So now you have another foreign fighter, and people continue to talk about how decorated his amateur pedigree was. Kudos. But let's get something clear. so we can be in the same lunch break, okay? Because this is the only time you can talk. You can't talk to them in class about it because they're not freaking paying attention. You got to talk to them when they really invested in their mind is taking off. They got to get some in their belly. They got to eat that bologna sandwich I talk about all the time. So while we're on a lunch break, I must explain to you, okay, that Madrimov is in the toughest fight of his life. Do he need Madrimov for his legacy? No. Does it layer up? You know what I'm saying? Add another medal to Crawford's chest plate? Yes. Does it potentially set Crawford up for something even bigger for Turkey al-Sheikh? Yes. We're talking about big money. Damn near the perfect ending, conclusion, curtain call for Terrence Crawford. But these sorry fans steadily want him to pay compensation for going in there, destroying and disbanding an entire fan base of the T-Mobile Massacre. I get it, bro. I know. I keep on mentioning it. We on the horizon. We on the eve of freaking the T-Mobile Massacre 1 year anniversary. It's coming up next week. I get it, bro. I get that some of you all will never recover from that mentally, physically, and financially. I looked at that fight and I seen the human beings that was up there standing up, looking at how Crawford and Spence was waiting for the opening bell. I seen it. I seen the confidence. I wasn't at the fight, but I knew the aerosexuals, they was in attendance. That's all I needed to know. Because the closer they were to the freaking the crime itself, they'd get to see how how the brutality was going to play out. And that's exactly what happened. And he ended up not only just beating up Spence, but he beat up a fan base too. So with Madrimov, I'm certain there are going to be some type of Errol Spence fans in attendance just to see if they can get a little bit of recovery, redemption. Because they're up here trying to talk Crawford to my, Crawford sleeping on Madrimov. He's small. He ain't never fought nobody like Madrimov. I'm saying to myself, come on, bro. Why are y'all taking one picture that's out here where Madrimov is looking ginormous? And this is not a bodybuilding contest. This is not a men's physique. This is not, you're not grading a double bicep or a tricep pose. You're not doing a freaking a rear lat pose. Most muscular. This is boxing at the end of the day. You got to make the scales, just like I said with Errol Spence. Yeah, he looks bigger than Crawford, but the scales, it's a requirement that you meet the dang weight limit. We don't want Madrimov to go drop the belt on the scales. No, we want him to make weight. We want Crawford to make weight. So the championship fight can be an equal contest. You know what I'm saying? Equity from both sides. They're qualified. They're confirmed. They have made weight, so they made it official. But I address this question once again. Why do American haters, these boxing fans want to see Crawford in adversity? Why are American boxing fans so easily influenced, and those foreign fighters don't do nothing for you? Only thing they do is come over here to get a bigger payday and to provide themselves more exposure, right? Why is it so easy for these fighters just to cross over, and they have a fight with a big name over here, and all of a sudden the U.S. fans is bigging them up, and they haven't even really gave them anything. They haven't really showed no love to the U.S. fan base. They just come over here from their country and put a training camp in and go to work. That's it. While meanwhile, you have a fighter that's been in your backyard for quite some time, and you're trying to find ways on how to discredit him from going in there August 3rd. All because you link him up to another fighter that you wanted to win. This is the only thing I can suggest to y'all. Y'all need to let that go, because that's forever gonna be like a stent in your heart. You're actually, possibility that you're gonna have a blood clot. July 29, 2023, you can't change that shit. The only thing you can do is change the channel. When you look at it on Amazon Prime, you can either cut it on or cut it off. That's the only thing you can change about that night. All the pain that you went through, knowing what you were seeing was real time, and that WCS was up here goddamn eating some palatable, juicy, supple fried shrimp, and just, oh man, so crispy. You know what I'm saying? That fish was fried just right. The texture was amazing. Fluffy. The side of slaw. Old school beans. Some hush puppies and fries. Oh my God. With a cup of fruit punch. And many more amenities that went along with that fish fry. Dude, that was the truth. I have no apologies for it. All I'm saying is this man is going back in there August 3rd, right? And you all are trying to find ways as if you're owed some type of pain and suffering. You want to sue Crawford in punitive damages for what he did to Spence on August 29th last year, as if he forced you to watch it. In a way, he did force you to get some clarification that he was the best at 147. He had to force that into you because a lot of you cats, you didn't want to believe it. But once the second round and he dropped him with the jab near the end of the round, that's when all y'all health problems started. That's when all the freaking deep depression, the anxiety, migraines, blood pressure. You had a lot that happened. I'm telling you, stop hating on this man. Going into August 3rd, it's not Spence. Spence don't have anything. He's not on the undercard. The undercard for this fight is amazing. Let that be your relief. Let that be your bright point. Your you know what I'm saying, your headlights. Look further. You know what I'm saying? Look ahead. Look what's in front of you instead of looking in the rearview mirror, because that's shit you don't want to see. You don't want to look in the rearview mirror and know that the 1 year anniversary is on the horizon. Now, I know it's going to be quite tough, you American hating boxing fans out here, right? To understand that August 3rd is just a little bit like just a little sprinkle of days off the 29th of the 1 year anniversary. And that's shit you have to deal with, especially if you're heading over there to the West Coast for that fight. That's shit you have to deal with. Because I know you're going over there to see. You want to witness this, to say once again, I gotta go again. Madrimov, see some promise in him. I see some promise, man. I do. Madrimov, man, don't know. He reminds us of the Gennady Golovkin of old. Oh man, he can do it, man. If we can just get Crawford this one. I mean, it's people support of Spence back then. I get it. But why still have the same? I mean, damn. Look at this. We about to go on a year. That hasn't been enough time for you to heal? Huh? You haven't had enough time to heal Spence has went into surgery and came out of surgery and been out in public about, talking. If he can heal from cataract surgery, I know you can heal from high blood pressure. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you Errol Spence fans could have, found an unqualified therapist to, to handle your depression and to get you through it. You know what I'm saying? To talk it out. I'm just saying, man. Why are a lot of you boxing fans coming up with these strange scenarios? And majority of these scenarios deal with Crawford not winning the fight. Why don't you present these scenarios with a stance from the beginning to say he's talented enough? It doesn't make any sense to think that a person like myself would assess that you're being non-biased just because Crawford is once again moving up to a division. Madrimov is a champion, yes. But how are you going to accredit Madrimov just because he's the reigning champion when Crawford was the WBO champion at 147? But yet, when it was time for him to face Spence, you act like this man have not even qualified to step in the ring with Spence July 29th for the T-Mobile Arena. 18 championship fights? You're trying to tell me 18 wasn't enough prior to him going in there and facing Spence? It wasn't enough? All we was going off of was the rhetoric that he ain't fought nobody, but he had wiped out everybody at 147, and that bled over to his previous division of 140. But yet Madrimov comes on deck, fairly unknown, limited experience on the championship stage, and y'all up here trying to derive scenarios that place Crawford in a position of defeat and adversity. I don't get it, bro. I don't get why the American fans are so quick to welcome. You know what I'm saying? Open palms. Hey, how you doing? Can I get a hug? Oh, champ, glad to see you. We've been looking forward for you coming over here, champ. Thank you. Thank you. We've been waiting for somebody to come over here and give this Crawford guy a challenge. Now, you didn't hear it from me, but supposedly, you know what I'm saying, he hurt his hand in sparring. Yeah. And a lot of what you seen July 29th, don't worry about it, because Spence was weight drained. There was a lot going on with him, man. Somebody had slipped him some freaking, a molly. You can tell by his eyes was droopy. He wasn't totally 100% coherent when he was walking to the ring. It was sometimes where, it was out of camera though, but they was holding on to his trunks behind him, just so he wouldn't stumble to the left or right. There was a lot going on that night. Believe me, Madrimov, when I tell you. We wouldn't lie to you, bro. And then the deal with Spence and the gloves that Avanesian, supposedly, right? It might have been some contraband. So pay attention. Make sure when you tap gloves, you tap both gloves at the same time to see if, any type of foreign contraband is in there. Because I'm telling you, that guy, we still don't believe to this day that he beat Spence fair and square. And this is what I'm talking about with these scenarios, man. Y'all have to stop bringing up old shit and just focus on August 3rd. This is a legacy fight for a 4th division. This sets up a potential rematch for y'all. You all should be boosting Crawford up to get this fight done, right? And then again, if you want to see him fight Boots, big up Boots, man. Don't do him like you did Errol Spence. Big up Boots to somehow try to get with, Eddie Hearns, who's brushing elbows, taking photos, you know what I'm saying, and over in that sandbox to try to get the fight with the IBF champion up there. Then we can have another huge anticipated fight. Not a rivalry as such, but it could be. Because truth be told, Jerron Ennis said he'd been looking for Crawford since 2018, y'all. Have you ever seen a goddamn wild dog out there on the hunt since 2018? and they still ain't tired. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be over exaggerated, but he been looking for Crawford since 2018. That's a long search now. He ain't really sat down and had no chow. He ain't hydrated. He's still going. Fuck the Energizer Bunny. They need to goddamn put boots on the back of a battery. That should be his next sponsorship. He said he been looking for Crawford since 2018, and you don't think that fight would be something if he moves up to 154 and get the IBF title? That'll be boots, and then that'll be freaking whoever wins that freaking WBC title fight. Let me get to the chat right quick. Shout out to the OG Mr. Golden. Shout out to Conquest on deck. Bug Unstop Canelo in the building. What's good? What's good? Shout out to Mr. Gumbo, a.k.a. Hot Grease in the building. What's good? Salute WCS in the hottest chat. Chicago traffic driving and listen. No doubt, man. Shout out to Chi-Town, bro. There's no national pride amongst the American fan base. Talk to them. Shout out to Andrew Charles in the building. Talk to them, man. American pride. What that P word at? What that P word? Pride. Pride, man. That's what we trying to say. We want that American pride. Just like over in the UK, they be cheering, just like Japan. Japan have a different way of cheering for their fighters. But they do cheer on when both fighters are going and giving you that entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Bud took a year off because of Spence rematch. Blame Spence, not Bud. Well, that's a little bit of the sour taste that's still floating around. Like people come and tune in, but when you start, you know what I'm saying, providing them a storyline like I'm able to do, you know, it really hits home for people. You know, their eyes start to water a little bit. They behind the screen, so I really can't see everybody. But I'm pretty sure, you know, every time they hear me break this story down differently, you know, they get emotional behind the screen. Their eyes start to water, you know, and their mouth start to foam up a little bit. A little nausea sets in. You know what I'm saying? It's still early in the day. They might be at work, but they need to go outside to the parking lot and get that flask. You know what I'm saying? That old school flask with the liquor in it. Today, the youngins just grabbed the bottle. They don't know the flask was to conceal. You know what I'm saying? They just go grab the bottle and take it to the head. Pop a couple of pills, get their head right. Say, God damn it, WCS. I wasn't planning on hearing this on a Friday, goddamn. I hate when he do that. Well, that's one of the duties of just being a voice and considered to be a social media content creator, journalist, writer, you know what I'm saying, sports enthusiast, combat sports enthusiast. You know, I just don't wonder, like the pride word. Why don't we have that pride that's automatic when it comes to our U.S. boxers? Are we spoiled to the point where it's just too many here? We need to change it up a little bit and do something different. Always have a reason to turn our back on our own fighters. You know what I'm saying? Chris Williams talking horse shit and hate. Yeah, Chris Williams, you know he a legitimate certified freaking Crawford hater there. Toby, come on, man. You've been around, bro. You heard it all before. All before. He loved talking that hate. By the way, it's a boxing match. Stop all no weak ass narratives before y'all ninjas get banned from YouTube. Well, that is language and habitual scenario based false narratives that's been polluting the YTC for quite some time. And that wouldn't substitute a ban, because is much worse. You know what I'm saying? It's much worse if I was to be playing the audio over and over again in some of these scenarios that they come up with, and they're finding ways to pretty much put Crawford in a situation like he lacked the skills to go up against somebody who has even less professional experience than he does. But since he's a foreign fighter and there's a lot of areas that's unknown about him, the American fight fans tends to gravitate and just create shit like, oh man, he's a fresh face. Let's talk shit because we don't like Crawford. Let's bloviate freaking Madrimov's presence on August 3rd and let it be known like, hey, this is going to be a tough fight. This is going to be a 50-50 fight right here. I mean, I'll tell you, this is going to be a 50-50, 50-50, 50-50, 50-50, 50. It's going to be 50 all day long, 50-50, 50-50. It ain't no way. This is 70-30. 80-20 now, 90-10 now. Crawford ain't that dominant. I'm serious. I mean, I don't see it as a 50-50 fight. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jeremiah on deck, man. Salute to you for pulling up. Appreciate you. OG said, hold on. Didn't they say when the fight was first made, that Bud wasn't fighting anybody? And who was Madrimov? Now he is the man who is going to beat Bud and stop him. Well, when it comes to, boxing fans, there's a addiction. That OG, that addiction is to lying. You know what I'm saying? They have an addiction for lying. That's what they do. Especially when it comes to certain people in the boxing game that they despise, and that person happened to be from Omaha, Nebraska, so they really don't have no way of linking up with him honestly and organically. And then the whole time that they plotted for 5 years to talk down, to big up Spence, and to say everything that he's accomplished, nobody know what he did, and Errol Spence will do this, that, and the other, and beat everybody on his resume, and all he doing is just filling the belt and holding up Errol Spence's WBO. He just holding his belt for him. It turned out to be much different than that, though. Y'all understand what I'm saying? I know I've basically mentioned this before, but it turned out to be a much different outcome. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like the rapture. You know what I'm saying? They speak of the rapture all the time. It wasn't like I asked you to turn to the book of Revelations. I didn't ask you to do nothing like that. But if you would have been standing outside the T-Mobile massacre, you would have witnessed the casualties, the lost souls when they was exiting a facility. It would have like the rapture had taken place, and they wasn't accepted into the heaven gates. Oh man, they was looking down. You had people running to all little closed area spaces, cubicles in the casino, and all they wanted to do is just let it out. They just wanted to find a place to let it out. Real talk, y'all. Because the buildup was so much negativity that this person wasn't going to do that and the other. To finally get there, to get the fight made, period. And then coming off the Avanesian hate, the coming off all the hate in 2022, to finally, get the fight set in stone, and for it to finally make it for the scale, both fighters made the weight, all that. To have Bud go in there and dominate this man like that, it pains, even his previous fans, or his, his ostracized fans, to hear me speak on it. That's all. It's, the things some of the people have said to me, like bringing up the 1 year anniversary, they try to say it doesn't matter. It doesn't in a point, because it's really not a national holiday. You know what I'm saying? It's not a national holiday, but it can be a local commemoration. That's what it's. What better day than to talk about the T-Mobile massacre 1 year today? all the damage that it caused, all the damage. I mean, Crawford should be locked up for the amount of people that he beat up that day. He was on the schedule to fight one person, but he ended up beating up an entire own full-blown assault of a fan base, yo. A freaking NFL owner. He beat up Jerry Jones, man. For real. Jerry Jones came there in his PJ rather, and he went back there pre-fight and mentioned a freaking Super Bowl, and that right there just put the juju on him. Fuck voodoo. Just the fact that he came back there, that was even worse. But I'm going to tell you like this, man. Like I said before, I don't know why the American fight fans want to still hold Bud Crawford accountable for something he was supposed to do. He was supposed to go in there and prove to the fan base who was the best out of 2 pound for pound fighters. That's what the whole conversation was about. They was trying to establish who was the best out of these two. You had the more popular fighter versus the non-popular fighter. You know what I'm saying? That was the whole process. Now we get to come to a conclusion as to who's the best. And the best reigned supreme, and it wasn't enough. Crawford versus Madrimov is fighting for the Lord to forgive their sins. Okay. Okay. The winner of this fight is the one, the Lord Jesus. Okay. Got it. No doubt. I don't know what sins have to do with this. You know, the sins would have had to do with Crawford and freaking Errol Spence. And then, you know, the sins that happened post-fight when they was falsely accusing Bud Crawford of cheating. Falsely accusing the man of cheating. You know what I'm saying? Hey, whatever you say. DJ Rush in the building. What's good? I picked Crawford to knock out his next opponent. I just look at both of their fight records and who have Madrimov beat or been challenged by. So you're asking who has Madrimov beat, and then you have Bud, who has the Errol Spence to his resume, but now they're acting like the adrenaline dump has leveled out. You know what I'm saying? And they've had several months to really think and get over their alcohol addiction and popping pills to get and found out there wasn't really a healthy way to get rid of those freaking memories they had last July 29th, right? Why isn't Madrimov getting the same freaking criticism that Bud was getting about who he's fought? Shouldn't Crawford be at a point right now in his career where they can say, Madrimov in trouble? Because he ain't fought nobody to the caliber of Bud Crawford. All what Bud has accomplished has to accumulate to something that makes sense. You just can't bring Madrimov up here and have that minimal amount of fights with a belt, but still you still don't say that he's in for a hell of a fight against Crawford. You still don't put it out there. That's hate, man. That is absolute biased hate. You still don't think that Crawford is a dangerous opponent to put Madrimov in the same passenger seat that you put Crawford in when he was facing Spence. You still believe that? You still have that much of a shield up that you can't let it down? You can't be honest with yourself as a boxing fan? Just say that Madrimov's in trouble August 3rd? He's in trouble, bro. I'm going to tell you, if you don't want to say it yourself, he's in trouble. He's in a huge amount of trouble. Tuning in while I do road work out here in Cali sun. Only thing more moist than my sweat glands is Spence fans. Oh, that's a good one, man. That's a good one, man. For real. For real. I really don't get into religious, you know what I'm saying? I don't, because the whole time that, all this rhetoric back and forth, you know what I'm saying? This this negative, all the obscenities that was projected, the verbal sparring, it was nasty, all the personal attacks that was going on. I didn't see that in the chat, man. I just didn't see all this religious, think of God here and there. We didn't see none of that. So why are we even talking about it right now? When it comes to Crawford Madrimov, what does religion have to do with it? They should be able to have faith in their supreme being and basically, go about their devotions privately. But this, we're talking about the boxing fans over here in the U.S. should be saying in every sentence that Madrimov is in trouble. But yet, you hear them speak, and all they talk about is Bud. Oh man, he's in for a tough fight. He's still, after beating the man who they say was the man. They said Spence was the man. Now they was jumping up in joy when he swelled up Yardenas Uga's eye and say he was bleeding 40 days and 40 nights while Noah continued to build and repair the ark. He finally recovered. That's what they were saying, yo. Then we all witness what we witness. So even now, looking at it, right? Even now, you say to yourself, Bud moving up, you still don't say this to Madrimov? Why? Because he's a foreign fighter. You don't want to hurt his feelings. You're not telling him, hey man, that's a dangerous fighter that you fighting. It's more like, oh man, Bud's coming up here fighting a dangerous fighter. It's nobody that Madrimov has fought in his life to prepare him for what he's getting into August 3rd. If we're going off sheet for sheet, each fight out of the 40 professional wins the Bud has, the paperwork alone supersedes that of Madrimov. But yet the conversation is, oh man, Bud going out here, man, he's in trouble. He's in trouble, dog. Madrimov, man, he's strong. You ever seen that? Dude's big, huge. Bud, man, he's small. 35er, 35er, 35er over. Do you copy? 35er, 35er. He's moving up to 54, 54. He ain't ready. He's too light now. I mean, that's what you hear again, yo. Why? Why is it so easy to just continue to mask over, what we seen play out? You say, Errol Spence can beat everybody, man. We done heard the violin string is frayed and it's popped. The chord has split, man. The sound ain't the same. But now they trying to come back with a new instrument similar to the violin and play the same tune they did at 47. Why? You know Madrimov is in trouble. Why you American fans is hating again? Your souls would never be at rest. Your souls would never be at rest trying to get revenge of what happened July 29th, 2023. Let the shit MF and go. Y'all are glutton for punishment, man. All because you busy have a vengeance to see Bud get a 1 on his record. Let the vengeance go, man. Look, there's actually a Sunday prior to the 29th. Okay, the 29th is on a Monday. All right? There's actually a Sunday, the 28th, which is a Sunday. July 28th is a Sunday. This is what I'll suggest you do, man, just to provide some sanctification. You feel me? I suggest you go find a church that you're comfortable with, a religion that you trust, and go in there and drop to your knees and kowtow. Don't genuflect. No. You need to go on both knees. Let your head touch the very ground and pray to the Most High to give you clarity, to clear your mind, bro. Y'all can't look, you aerosexuals, you Spencerholics. You all have to let July 29th go, man. You can't be carrying that over to August 3rd and talk about, oh man, I wish, I wish, I wish. The Make a Wish Foundation, man, no, it don't coincide with this shit. Y'all up there playing those. If I had one wish, this would it be. It's what I'll see. This what I mean. Y'all up here listening to old songs. Y'all up here pulling up Make a Wish Foundation, seeking you, start a GoFundMe account. Y'all trying to reach out to old psychics. I don't know what to tell y'all, man. Just so I can put my voice out there, because the same format, and I have to continue to use format, the same rhythm that y'all had for the criticism that Crawford ain't fought nobody, and he beat the man that you all say was the man, but yet Madrimov, he's not getting the same hallmark. The invitation that y'all giving him is warm. God damn, the invitation that y'all's giving him is just so warm and welcoming. I'm like, God damn, man, this dude can't get no backlash, no rhetoric. Look, they are like they scared to even say anything negative about Madrimov. Oh, he seems like such a good guy. I don't know too much about him, but looking at that trailer, that Turkey Alley Sheep, oh my God, he had it so rough. What about Crawford? Oh, that's just typical. He could have did better. He chose to goddamn fight. His mom didn't pay him to fight. He chose to be out there in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Typical Omaha black youth. I mean, come on, we've seen it before. But that guy Madrimov, oh my God, his family seemed like such good, loving people. They did everything they could to raise Madrimov the best there could, to be an upstanding citizen, be something special. And now he's fighting Terrence Crawford. Who would have thought? I mean, you know what I'm saying? They're breaking down their trailer, man, and saying, look at the conditions that he had over there in this country. That is struggle. Over here in America, it's not struggle. You have a choice. We're the land of the free. You have a choice on whether to be on the street or inside or creating your own business. He chose to be in the streets. The day he got shot, he wasn't supposed to be out there. Did Madrimov get shot growing up? Was he out there? Did his parents not? No. I'm just saying that's how they breaking down the trailer, yo. If you live over here in America, you was born and raised over here, man, you have so many options to benefit you. Unbelievable. If you chose to be out there in the streets, that's your own problem. That's Crawford's own problem. He chose to be out there. That's typical amongst them people. Come on, brother. Come on. Errol didn't accuse Bud of cheating. Only the aerosexuals. Correct. But the aerosexuals never got a confirmation from Errol Spence. Errol Spence came out of his mouth and said he wasn't raised to make excuses. But Toby, you know well as I do, it's a reason why us as human beings don't like to be reminded. Even though reminding someone can be good and bad. But he said he wasn't raised to make excuses, Toby. And that's when he came out talking about he had the cataracts, and that's why he was getting hit with all those jabs and hook. I was so disappointed, because the only thing you had to do was just stick 10 toes down to the honor system, bro, of not making excuses. Okay? You could have did all the dirty shit, making sure you stay locked into the contract until Boots get the belt and all that. Okay. Knowing damn well you weren't going to do the rematch. Okay. But to finally come out here and say that the reason why he was hitting you with all those jabs and hooks was because you had cataracts, and you've had it before you went into the fight. That just goes to show you a reason why I speak to the aerosexuals the way I do, because these fans that was out here that was supposed to be on the side of Errol Spence was talking more about Bud because he was the hottest name on YTC. That's called being selfish. You know what I'm saying? That's called being acutely selfish. You was thinking nothing about yourself and freaking earning subscribers and getting super chats when y'all wasn't even talking about Errol Spence himself leading up to that fight. Shout out to Big Blunts and Boxing in the building. Just read the books to understand the mind of Spence, man. He said niggalations, man. No, you didn't say niggalations, dog. That shit crazy, man. No, he didn't say niggalations, man. Leviticus. Niggadas. Spence fan told me today that Bud ducked Spence after Bud saw what Spence did to Ugas. That's why Bud fought David. Look, and they'd be the same people that come up here and talk about boxing as a business. Wasn't they the same one blunts up here talking about what Bud didn't rate? When all these things so-called unemployed chief financial officers was talking about what Bud rates. He rates 70-30. That's what he rates. He ain't did nothing. He rates. Look, they kept talking about all the heavy lifting done by Spence. And all you heard was the same song in there. Oh man, hey, Bud rates 70-30, 80-20. Even Spence said it, walking out the arena. Oh, we'll give him 70-30, 80-20. He keep on talking. Oh. Then when it comes fight night, a fight week, we find out that he not only, when he limped in with a measly 100,000 and Bud raised him 900,000, he not only got the million as a concession, but he got the coin flip. He walked out second and was introduced first. Oh my God, the punishment, the lashings never stopped, bro. Oh my God. What happened, bro? What happened that night? Why did a fighter who said that you ain't fought nobody give this man $1 million concession? I'm not here to talk about that right now. I don't want to bring up old news, even though I'm talking about the 1 year anniversary being on the horizon. But I never could quite understand that. How so many people use that Oklahoma footage, but they really didn't want to talk about how, if they was talking about the $1 million being paid to the winner, how can Crawford have it in his as a concession before either fighter throw a punch? Yeah, I believe that everybody should have a worship whoever their supreme being, the most high, is. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. A man who put God above himself does the Lord's work. They hate Bud for striving to be great. Like how they hate on any black man who's striving to be great because they hate themselves. I think it's, it's not just black boxing fans that hate on Bud. They just stand out the most because of the just the eye relief that you get in the YTC, the small optic of eye relief, you know what I'm saying, that you get. It kind of shows a lot of black content creators, but they're not the only ones that have criticism of Bud Crawford. Just like Deontay Wilder, he had black, white, Hispanic, everybody. They showed him hate, right? But for Bud have a masses of this group of individuals that was supporting another black fighter. So they chose to say, okay, selectively, I'm going to choose one side. I'm going to choose the Texan because he's more popular. People like him more. We don't really don't like Bud. He's from Omaha. It ain't nothing popular going on with Omaha. He don't like the media. He don't say too much. We don't know anything about him. Yeah, he can fight, but he ain't fought nobody. Whereas Spence was the more popular fighter. You already know the whole backstory on that. But there's a little small community of haters. They chose, the black content creators chose to spearhead that campaign. You know what I'm saying? Of freaking insults, derogatory information. You know what I'm saying? Just creating lies after lies after lies, getting personal. Yeah, yeah. Now that is something that these individuals will sit up here and tell their children. If their children say, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm being bullied," you know what I'm saying? They'll run up to the school and try to say, "Oh man, this is something have to be dealt with. I'll take this to court quick. I'll take it to the highest order." But then they go up here and look at that same kid's freaking parents' social media page and find out they've been spewing rhetoric. You know what I'm saying? They've been up here putting out hate speeches too. Look what Bud Bomac, burning boxer, the team are doing and have done for use in Omaha. Yep. But could have moved away and forgot his city if he wanted to. Bud is a great man. Yo, he's done a lot for a city. But you know, that's internal to what, you know, the Americans see on the outside looking in. Because a lot of them will tell you that if it was any place you can go with a free ticket, they'll say, I'm going any place but Omaha, Nebraska. You know, some of them wouldn't go there because they know Bud Crawford there. They know Team Crawford is there. Real talk. They got some petty ass people that's in this boxing community. You know what I'm saying? Petty ass people. But when it comes to what these individuals are doing for their city and everything, they do it just for them, man. They do it. And a lot of times outside the news media, local news media, Omaha, it doesn't reach way out to communities like this unless people do their research. Bud would have held his own against the four kings, in my opinion. There would have been five kings. Man, profound point. Profound point. You know what I'm saying? It's difficult to prove to people that if Bud was back in that era, what he'd done, because you know we live in a whole nother era. Social media, man, it taints the visual of a lot of boxing fans. It really clouds their judgment. Seriously, they see shit and it just really clouds a lot of their thought process at the end of the day. And you know it takes very little effort for them to find something that's wrong with Bud. I mean, like even after the fight, the haters that was humbled, you know what I'm saying, by 9 rounds of thrashing, drubbing, right? They still only gave it at least about a minimum of 72 hours before they return and start trying to present their argument with cheating allegations. You know what I'm saying? They was up here trying to say that Bud was on PEDs and Bud was this. His gloves was jacked up. That's why freaking Diddy James was up there feeling Crawford's glove. Because he wanted an out. This was 2-time trainer of the year. They got, I mean, master clinics in there by Bomac and Crawford. His last hope was to pull a Billy Collins Sr. and say, let me feel his gloves and see if his glove have a lack of padding in there. He didn't even have confidence in enough of the game plan. He was up there like, oh, it ain't broke. We ain't gonna fix it too much. We just gonna go in here and just touch over some stuff, go through some drills. But even him, he made a last ditch effort to molest Crawford's glove as if he was dapping him up and he was pushing down on the glove to see. And that myself, it was a coward ass move. You should have went in there knowing that you did everything you're supposed to do. Not trying to say, you know what? I knew this shit was going to happen, but let me see if he cheated anyway. Come on, man. If you knew what you had, y'all should have went in there and got the job done, but you couldn't. So for everyone We got 15 days remaining. I'm not gonna spend too much time, over an hour and a half. No, but definitely salute. Big shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game as always for supporting the channel. Hit the like button on your way out, and like every now and then, if you choose to donate to the Cash App, there it is. Continue to support and tune in. For those that was new on here, sub to the channel. Support the channel. I appreciate you. One love. Peace. I'm out.